I adore my husband. He's certainly my better half, more good-natured and kind than I could ever be. Firstly, I've never met someone that actively tries to avoid talking bad about other people. He always sees the good in people, which is my favorite thing about him. We've been together for 10 years in June. I met Alex at 19, when he started working as a journalism intern for my dad at the local paper. He caught my eye and we started dating almost straight away. At first, the only thing I didn't like about him was that he seemed far too nice. I didn't think someone so good existed. But he did, and he still does. Over our decade of being together, he's remained as kind as ever. The only few things that stick out as a slight difference from everybody else are the fact that he doesn't like animals. He won't even go into homes of people with dogs. Which I know is a little odd, but that aside, he drinks a lot of water. A lot of water. He also will not eat onions, but then again, some people are fussy eaters. This is all to say that in 10 years together, I've never seen any red flags. His parents live nearby, a wonderful couple, and his younger sister has 3 amazing kids, who both Alex and I adore, having babysat them countless times. It's all very normal, very safe, very boring. But something's recently changed, and I can't decide if my mind is playing tricks on me. We usually head to bed at 11, which he's adamant about, as a strict routine helps him cope with the stress of his job as a crime scene investigator. But forget about me making it past 12, and Alex will still be awake. When we get into bed, I'm often out like a light, but Alex is not a great sleeper and takes some tablets to help. Not only that, but every single night for the last month or so, he's been waking up around 3 a.m., shooting out of bed and trudging downstairs. I hear him opening the fridge and pouring himself a glass of water before he inevitably uses the bathroom, and then tiptoes back up to me. In the morning when I quiz him about it, he shrugs and tells me he remembers doing it but not knowing why. It happens almost every night. Sometimes it jolts me awake, but most nights I sleep right through. He says it's no big deal. But a few nights ago I begged him to at least look into it, as he's barely getting any sleep, and it makes me sad to see him so groggy. He agreed and promised to look into it soon, telling me he's fine, but I'm not so sure. Then, 2 nights ago, I woke up like usual, finding Alex gone. I heard him fiddling around downstairs, but his footsteps back towards me seemed to be taking a little longer than usual. This time felt especially weird, as minutes rocked past on the clock with no Alex in sight. That's when I heard him. He was on the landing outside of my room. But there was another noise that to this day I cannot put into words. It sounded half animal, half human, and it made my skin crawl. My heart hammered in my chest and undone all the work I'd done to calm myself down. I knew when he'd gone to bed he was wearing his vest and pajama bottoms like usual, but when I squinted I saw the curve of his back and bare arms. They were definitely not wearing any clothing. I wondered if he'd stripped off whilst walking back up to me, but my stomach twisted as a part of me that I've never been able to shake finally roared its loudest. And that's the feeling that the so-called Alex persona that I had spent my entire adult life with was a complete stranger to me. "Alex?" I asked, wiping my eyes in the hope that the previous image would have been wiped away. But still, the curve of his spine appeared, raw, his legs noticeably bare. "Yes, my love," he eventually said, through what I could only call a strange crackling voice, different to his usual charismatic one. "What are you doing on the landing?" I asked, but he didn't answer. I looked at the clock and saw that it had just turned 3:20. "Why don't you come back to bed?" I asked again, but still, he didn't move. "Alex?" I asked, but he didn't respond. I shook my head and closed my eyes. It was just a strange experience, I told myself. The way a shadow can look like a man stood at the end of my bed. But in the deepest recess of my mind, a voice said to me that that wasn't my husband, and that I should get up, walk around the corner and check, but I was frozen. So frozen even as my heart demanded that I stop and panic. Then, the real Alex padded back into the room, and I saw him clear as day in his vest and pajama bottoms, hair ruffled, groggy-eyed, and my heart fell back into a slower rhythm. But I realized I hadn't heard the bathroom flush, only him filling up his glass. Was that even Alex downstairs? This is how I know I've gone insane. I almost never see things. My life nowadays is ridiculously boring. But here I am questioning if my husband is hosting some sort of entity. Yesterday, the endless thoughts of that night filled my every way of waking moment, and I spun theories in my mind as to what it could have been. It was just Alex, I told myself. But then there was that feeling again, that feeling that he was a stranger to me. A stranger I had not ever, and did not want to ever meet. As the day rolled on, I knew I couldn't take another night of sitting and waiting. So on the way home from work, I stopped at the DIY shop on the corner and picked up a padlock. When I got home, Alex asked me what it was for, and I looked him in the eye and told him it was so I could sleep properly. "What, are you going to lock me in the bathroom?" He laughed, but I stayed serious. "No, I'm going to lock you in here. You wake me up every night trudging downstairs. I'll give you the key in the morning. It'll stop you from waking me up, and stop you from messing around at night," I said, using the tone that usually ensures I get my way. "You can't do that," he said, laughing, but I didn't budge. "Why not?" I asked. "You're asleep, you'll never know." "That's so stupid," he said, and his reaction was extreme even for him. But in the end, begrudgingly, he agreed. I don't know what I expected. The only reason I bought a padlock was because the image of the curved spine was burned into my memory, and I knew I'd never sleep again unless I got rid of every chance of my mind playing tricks on me. When we went to bed last night, Alex took 2 sleeping tablets instead of 1, giggling and begging me not to do it. But I stayed silent, as I waited for the pills to make his eyes glassy and his head fall back, so he would then inevitably crash hard. I locked the bedroom door, put the key under my pillow, and slowly climbed into the sheets beside him as quiet as I could. Somewhere deep inside, I felt insane that I was getting some sort of relief from locking up my husband. But I could hear the air getting stuck in his throat from the tablets, and knew that finally I could get a good night's rest without worry. I made sure his water cup was filled up on the bedside just to make sure he had everything to hand. And then, the inevitable happened. I frigging woke up. And this time I woke up to not only hear sounds at my door on the landing, but the sound of someone moving around my room. When I squinted, I saw Alex's glass was empty, but I knew it would be after last night's events. The strange crackling sound was there again, and this time every bone in my body froze as I saw him backing away. I wanted to scream, "Who are you?" instead choking the words out. But Alex didn't respond. Instead, he chuckled again, something he's never done before, and dragged his nails across the door. I didn't have the guts to get up and unlock it. Instead, I lay still, paralyzed with fear as the digits on the clock ticked. I woke up in the morning with Alex's side of the bed empty. I rubbed my eyes groggily and checked the clock again, which read 3:03. But then, I heard Alex's footsteps outside, and then the unmistakable sound of Alex, unlocking the padlock, enters the room. But when he did, his face was different. Or actually, it wasn't at all. For the first time in our 10 long years together, it was a face that I really recognized. My next-door neighbor, Mr. Radley, from when I was a child, whose face I had completely wiped from my mind. When my dad had lost his journalism position and I'd lost contact with Alex, it came out that Mr. Radley had killed his wife and left their 2 pugs to starve. My heart was on fire as his cold and clammy skin slipped underneath the duvet, and I tried my absolute best not to let him hear my heart racing. The other Alex, the Alex I thought I'd known since I was a child, was now stood beside him, dirty toes sticking out from the bottom of the bed, waiting to be unlocked. I needed to get out of there, I knew that much. But how do you get out of the bed of a man that's known you intimately, every crevasse out your body, since you were just a child? Slowly, I fixed my eyes on the clock as the digits rolled. 3. "Oh, hang on 1 second, darling. Let me run and use the bathroom." Alex, who wasn't Alex, got onto his feet, raced towards the bathroom, but the door was locked. A moment later, his face appeared back at the door, a frustrated look on his face. "Sweetie, Could you unlock the door? I'm almost wetting myself." In an instant, I realized that not only had my well-meaning plan had worked, but now was also the time. Whatever the hell this thing was that had been plaguing me for 10 years, it was unknowing, and more importantly, trapped. I kept a neutral face, hushing my thudding heart as I searched underneath the pillow for the key. On unsteady feet, I padded my way across the bedroom until I came face to face with him. Our eyes met as he kissed me deeply, his eyes glazed. "Thank you," he whispered. I forced my face to stay of its frown as I watched him reach the door handle. I must admit, I really thought I would throw up as the hand of whoever the hell the real Alex was grabbed the doorknob so hard it turned his knuckles white. I quickly retracted my hand from the door and at the very last moment told him firmly, "Actually, I think you need to stay inside and rot." I slowly got down onto my knees and pressed my mouth up against the keyhole so close that I heard his voice very, very clearly. "Okay, sorry, sweetheart. I'll be stuck in here until you let me out." I didn't say a word, but my whole body was playing the verb. I raced downstairs as fast as I could, every moment my body aching to slow down as my adrenaline overtook it, as if time had slowed down. I had to get out. I had to get out, and I had to get help. Maybe the police who had worked on the case 30 years ago would believe me, but either way. To the best of my knowledge, the person who had opened that door was definitely not my husband, and he had been going out every night, who knows where. I hit the midway point on the stairs, only a few feet to go. And for whom the bell tolls dearly, you spot the water. I arrived at the bottom of the stairs and let out a silent scream. Where the pugs were, that's the game, the 2 full bowls of water that I fill up every day, that sit permanently underneath my console downstairs, were empty. That's game. That's when he allowed me the privilege of hearing his voice for probably the last time. A husky whisper as the bedroom door hinge slowly erupted behind him with a creak. "You never were good at keeping them alive." I haven't been inside for about a week now, instead sleeping in my office, terrified. But I keep the windows open sometimes to hear him padding about. I'm still trying to find any amount of investigators who will take my case. It's difficult with no proof to hand someone the key and let them go in and look. And to be honest, I have very little confidence that they understand what they are looking out. I don't know who that really is in my house. I don't know how many people are in there. I didn't realize my husband was a stranger. Or in fact, not even human at all. That's what keeps me up at night the most. That there is no but where difficult questions can be not answered. You might think you faintly know the people in your life, that someone, or anyone for that matter, would even believe you. But you don't. Keep those people close, as truth be told, there is certainly nobody that can help me now.